that we are organizing the launch of the UNESCO Chair in Social Responsibility of Higher Education and Community-Based Research in Jamia. Jamia has a long and glorious tradition of community engagement, and in fact for some time in its initial history and now in the present times, it is actually recognized as a community-owned institution, so to say. The Department of Social Work and PRIA also share a long history of partnerships, and this is one event in the whole chain of events that we have been part of. And when Dr. Tandon shared this exciting development, we were very happy to be part of this unique initiative. Social responsibility of the university is quite often confused with the community service, that is the third function. But in Jamia, it's a much broader and a deeper concept. It's not a separate activity to be undertaken, but it is the very essence of our university. It's ethos, its way of being and operating. It could be seen as the responsibility of the university to preach and practice a set of principles and values through the core functions of teaching, research, community engagement, and team management. Our principles and values include commitment to fairness, truth and ethics, promotion of social equity and sustainable human development, recognition of an individual's dignity and liberty, appreciation of diversity and multiculturalism, and promotion of human rights, democracy, secularism, and civic responsibility. So it's, in a sense, it is therefore in the fitness of things that Jamia should have taken the lead, or should have been the first university to be identified by PRIA to continue more focused efforts in this direction. We are thankful to our Vice Chancellor, Mr. Najib, for encouraging us and providing us all the required facilitation, and to PRIA and Dr. Rajesh Tandon in particular for partnering with us. I welcome all participants to the launch and the symposium to this celebrated and glorious university, and I hope that we will have a meaningful dialogue and some implementable outcomes from this symposium.
The emphasis in the UNESCO description of these chairs is on doing this through partnerships which support North-South-South and South-South networks and relationships. There are several hundred such chairs in the world. Our chair has two distinctions. First, ours is the only chair with this specific mandate, having its origins in the final communiqué of the 2009 World Conference on Higher Education. Secondly, ours is the only chair that is shared. Our chair is a result of an agreement between the Director General of UNESCO, the President of the University of Victoria, and the Chair of the Governing Board of PRIA. And in line with our underlying values and intentions, it is a partnership between an established industrialized country, Canada, and a rapidly industrialized nation, India. Further, our chair is a partnership between a university and a civil society research organization. The fact that such a chair could have been created is the result of several phenomena. At the global level, UNESCO has become aware over the past 30 years that institutions of higher education have a much stronger and dynamic role to play in shaping the world today than merely producing skilled labor power, however critical that is. Higher education institutions have opportunities to create generations of new students who can critically examine structures of power, develop skills to work with those labeled as marginal or excluded, can become civic leaders in deeper forms of democracy.
We in this university have taken a special role in India to engage with local communities in exploring new vistas in higher education, research and teaching throughout the 92 years that we have now been in existence. And the Jamia has a huge history of community-driven approaches to education, especially higher education. And here I must mention that there is a special place, I think, for the Department of Social Work that is partnering you. It would undeniably be amongst the best departments of social work that exist in this country. We have a very dedicated and outstanding faculty. I really often wish that the university were able to do more for them, and that they would themselves be a little more proactive in showcasing themselves, so that more and more people realize the kind of work that they have been doing various experiments like the post-partition rehabilitation, the adult education movement, Balak Mata centers, the Dr. Zakir Hussain Memorial Society, University Outreach Program, the polio eradication project in Western Uttar Pradesh, the Child Protection Action Project in UP are good examples of the engagement of the university with larger community. We have thus made provisions also within the minority quota for disadvantage amongst the minorities to take benefits of higher education. So the Jamia aspires to produce alumni who are not only academically proficient, but also responsible citizen shaping India along in this 21st century. To make the responsible citizens of tomorrow, it is our job today to inculcate positive social values, environmental awareness, and a largely universal way of thinking.
Today, what poor people know, regardless of whether they are in urban or rural areas, whether they are in the global north or the south, has very little to do with the knowledge that produces policy, knowledge that produces monitoring systems, and knowledge that decides whether what was being done is good or bad. And that defines, in many ways, the huge crisis of expanding inequity that we all face today. I am a person who's worked for the last 30 years on urban poverty issues. And while all the speakers spoke about different groups of people, you all forgot the fact that this world is increasingly going urban. And the transition of people who were disenfranchised, isolated, ignored, are moving into cities either by being pushed there or by the very locations where they live in becoming urban. We have enormous amounts of data that says so, but very little acknowledgement even in our own government about this process. And so all things to do with urban, all things to do with urban poverty, all things about making cities equitable are being ignored. And so one of the things that I would like to say as a practitioner of participatory action and research is that those of us who operate in local and global networks of the urban poor, you give us a space in your network and we will come with our drums and our knowledge for that. Because there is terrible need for this, because all our cities are on the edge of terrible violence. And that violence comes out of the inability of our institutions, be they municipal, provincial or national, to acknowledge that our cities are not being planned to address security and inclusivity for all.